All right, folks, I'm here with the one and only 𝐓𝐑𝐶 once again, one of my favorite people to interview or have a conversation with world topics. And there is so much going on right now. I always said winter would be nuclear, but it's going to keep escalating. It's going to keep going to this climax. Everything happening with Russia. Now we got everything happening with really with Hillary Clinton and what I like to call Obamagate.
Right.
And basically Trudeau waging war on the citizens of Canada, completely now showing all his cards as a dictator.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's even worse than that, because again, we've talked about it for a couple of years now. This is all about a globalist regime, of which the installed regime in DC right now and Trudeau are a part. And we're watching, I think the weakest link is Trudeau. So we're watching Trudeau in real time become a full-on dictator, Nazi against his own people. Again, in Canada, they have even less officials than they do in America. They only have 30 million people. He's just basically waged war on his own 30 million people, this small group. Remember, he's in the minority anyway. But the truth is, the people of Canada never really liked this guy. He has very little support. Again, it's another one of those situations in Canada as here as all over the world, where the same people went in and hijacked their country and their election and everything. So he's a very unpopular person in general.
He was just asked recently what country he admires the most. Did you see this? And he states China. He says, I think their dictatorship is allowing them to move forward in the green movement.
Exactly.
That was his excuse. Yeah.
That's hilarious, because as you know, China is right now building more coal plants and nuclear plants all over the world, like laughing their way right there. But yeah, no, he's not the only one. The other people who've said things like that we know are Kissinger, Klaus Schwab, George Soros. It's because China is a communist country and their people have zero freedom. They're fully surveilled. They have the social credit score, and they have no free will, no freedom, nothing. There's no entrepreneurship. The CCP runs and owns every single thing and every single person. And that's what Trudeau and the installed regime in DC and Klaus Schwab, the overlord of all these people, that's their goal. We know that. He did declare the Emergency Powers Act, which is tantamount in America. It's a martial law. And basically now he's going after the citizens that were peacefully protesting, provably peacefully protesting. He's going after seizing not just their GoFundMe and that, their private bank accounts, getting the insurance companies to cancel their insurance, going after their licenses so they can never work as truckers or whatever again.
How are they going along with this? How are the insurance companies, the banks going? Well, they're globalist owned.
Right. Because they're all, we have to, the more we talk about it, the more important it becomes that BlackRock and this Fink guy that's on the World Economic Forum and behind the ESGs and all this other stuff is controlling all the woke corporations. What people don't know when we hear about China is that in 2014, there was a report released that many people never looked at, I guess. And it was the Chinese government talking about infiltrating America and the rest of the G20 from the inside out using woke culture, and that they were going to use groups like Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all of these kind of small fringe groups, and they were going to pump in money and Marxist influence and all of that, including CRT, which 2 days ago, the World Economic Forum put out a pro-CRT worldwide backing. So China always planned to use our individual different groups against each other, Color Revolution 101, but it really is China backing it because they laugh at our woke culture. China happens to be a very racist country.
100%.
100%. So again, they're using our freedom and our actual truly integrated societies against us in a very deceptive way. And a lot of these people are being exposed. We're watching Black Lives Matter be exposed in real time. That money is going to be traced to China. I'm fully the CCP, that all that Marxist training. I've told you before, the Black Congressional Caucus sends a bunch of traditionally Black college students to the CCP China every year to train them. Some of them started Black Lives Matter. So, I mean, it's all going to connect. Antifa, same thing.
Funny how when they were rioting and looting and murdering, none of their assets were frozen. None of their bank accounts are frozen.
No,
That should show everybody how obvious this is.
Yeah, and they push this anti-Asian crime thing. Well, the Asian crime isn't happening by white supremacists. Again, this is what they're doing. And I don't know if you saw yesterday, very frightening, and we'll get into how much scarier this is getting. They're desperate, so they're just pulling out all the stops. The vassal state that is the District of Columbia does not run by the Constitution. The Bill of Rights are inalienable rights mean nothing. They are foreign-run, foreign loyal entity down there, that 10 by 10 plot of land swamp down there. Yesterday, because so much is going on, nobody saw that Maxine Waters, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib, these people that I believe are the worst of our country, put through a $70 billion bill to fight an unconditional war on racism in America. That's very ironic, coming from three women of color that have risen to the point that they can propose such a bill. This is after Ilhan Omar put in a bill for anti-Islamophobia.
This passed, Mel, or is it they're trying to push it
now, just 2 days ago. And
this passed.
Yeah, well, they're trying to pass it. They proposed it in Congress. Of course, all the Democrats in Congress are in lockstep, fully owned by this globalist Soros-backed machine.
And this in turn will basically this will be used against patriots. This is scary, man.
Honestly, this bill that they're proposing is against straight up white people. And what we have to remember, though, and this is often forgot, no matter what they say, America is still 70% white.
100%. But wait. All the commercials are black now.
I know. Don't you love it? But then also, right after the Super Bowl, the NFL is fully 100% CCP, BLM backed. If you didn't notice the show and everything, right after that, Biden comes out and says that the NFL isn't doing enough for equity and racism. Then The View, who's also fully owned and in the cabal, comes out. Oh, the NFL isn't hiring enough black coaches. We just want the best coaches. We want the best students. We want the best
What
judges.
about who's qualified?
That's what I'm saying.
Doesn't matter what race you are. What about qualifications?
Right. You're a boxer. You don't want the coach picked because of the color of their skin. You want the best coach you can find to make sure that you win. And they're doing the opposite. All this is CCP. I'm telling you right now, this is all functioning to destroy America from the inside out, steal our pride, dehumanize us, and turn us into Venezuela. The plan is Venezuela.
Right.
People must remember 10 years ago, Venezuela was one of the richest countries on the planet. Now they're eating their dogs.
Right.
And the trafficking, the sex trade is the biggest trade. What's happened in Venezuela is the model for what they want to do here. And people are not waking up, I don't think, fast enough to do anything.
Well, it looks to me like Canada woke up a lot faster than we are. I mean, The reason that they're succeeding in this is because as they're bringing down the white man, they're lifting the black. And if you say anything about this, you're racist. So they're pairing us off against each other.
Right, because the truth is, and I had on a couple people this week talking about it, they're not lifting up the black people because Black Lives Matter, defund the police, CRT, no criminal sentences, and now the vax mandate. This is a war on the black people. But the problem is that it's the same liberal elite, usually these Harvard, I call it the poison Ivy League, PhDs and stuff. The entire Obama regime is back in DC, if anyone's not clear on who's running everything. And really, they use the black community, and it's time. A lot of black people are stepping up, but it's time that you realize that Al Sharpton was the biggest visitor to the Obama White House, number one, and number two was the Muslim Brotherhood, and I'm talking official visits to Obama's White House. Sharpton 1, head of Muslim Brotherhood 2. Okay, what has come out of Black Lives Matter and all of this for the black communities? Endless gang wars, shooting of children every weekend, out of control, and now in New York, but also in Detroit, in Sacramento, in Chicago, the worst. The black community isn't seeing any help from this last 2 years. They're actually being hurt. And
as all this is happening and transpiring, the southern border is completely controlled by cartels now. I talked to some of the Border Patrol agents there. Dave, we don't have a chance. They're just running amok. We are not even going into certain areas because it's so dangerous. They're telling me that there's zones that they don't go into now that completely now controlled by cartels.
Yeah, and again, we'll get into what's going on with Hillary Clinton and the treason. It's treason, but again, it's also treason what Obama, what Biden Obama White House is doing at our southern border. We've been invaded. They are profiting, I assure you, and they are in cahoots with not just the Open Society and Soros and the UN. And the Catholic Charities, which is a very disturbing part of this as well, straight from the Vatican. But at the same time, we have been invaded. We are in the middle of an invasion from that southern border.
And you believe as well as I do, like this is not just Soros and Kissinger and all that. This is Obama controlling a lot of this.
Oh, well, he was chosen by them. Yeah.
So what do you think now with this, with Durham going after Hillary? It's all roads lead to Obama.
Well, yeah, this is Obama could have happened without him being involved. But we knew that because the woman who is right now and nobody realizes running our domestic policy is Susan Rice. Susan Rice was involved with Samantha Power and the responsibility to protect going into all these sovereign nations, including Ukraine in 2014, and placing in puppets for the one world government to get their great reset. Okay, this has been a long game. But Susan Rice wrote that memo to herself back in 2017, I believe, where she documented a meeting that happened. And I knew that it was going to eventually connect. And Obama was in there. Biden was in there. They were discussing how to stop Trump. And Rod Rosenstein, who's disappeared from the scene. I'm still waiting for Jeff Sessions and Admiral Rogers to pop out of the woodwork at some point. But what we're saying, so yeah, for anyone who's not getting it because the mainstream media isn't covering it because they were complicit, and we will find that many of the people in the mainstream media, including one that has a book coming out this week, Maggie Haberman, and I don't think that's an accident, were fully involved. And listen, the worst part is they knew before they started the Mueller investigation that it was all a fraud. So think about that. The entire 3 years that we listened to the Mueller stuff, and we had Maddow and Lemon and MSNBC, CNN, all these people, New York Times, even Fox News, all these people, they already knew that it was all made up, that it was financed, bought, and paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign to spy on Donald Trump in the worst way possible. Now that we know some more stuff. And they're scrambling, but it will all go back to Obama. But listen, we still have many crimes that these people need to be held accountable for. We have all but forgotten that Obama sent $400 million in cash we know of to the Iranian regime and God knows where else on his way out the door for what? And walked out of there like, I have nothing to hide. Right. Also, the whole Burisma and the Joe Biden with the money at the Council of Foreign Relations talking about pay or play in Ukraine. You think that's not related to what's going on right now in Ukraine? And I'm watching Vladimir Putin call their bluff on it, but it's all these crimes. Uranium one. Do
you think that Putin and Trump, obviously we know they're allies. Do you think that they're what's happening right now is basically flushing out Biden?
Yeah,
I get what I'm saying. Like they're using this situation to flush out Biden and make him force his hands.
Yeah, I do think that. Well, what I really think, first of all, when we get into the Hillary thing, there's a lot of people related to both situations. But the other thing about this is, again, people should all look up what happened in 2014 involving Soros, his NGOs, Samantha Power, Obama, Hillary, Biden, Blinken, all these same people. They went in and they toppled with a color revolution a legitimately elected president. Don't forget, Ukraine only has been its own nation since 94, I think. Right. And Clinton tried it too, because Ukraine has a lot of natural resources. It is strategically a very important piece of land in Europe. And it is the border nation of Russia. So really what they did, they went in there in 2014, they ousted the duly elected president. They put in a puppet who is right now wanted for treason. Poroshenko, they've seized all his assets. This happened in tandem with what happened in Kazakhstan when that guy, the minister there, was also arrested for treason, all connected to Hunter and Joe Biden. And then what happened in Ukraine is, first of all, it's a very poor country. The people have really suffered since 2014 there. The people that we're supposed to care about, not the oligarchs and the Burismas and the billionaires. And don't forget what happened to the prosecutor that was going after Hunter Biden and Burisma. Joe Biden demanded that he be fired. and replaced, or they wouldn't give them $1 billion, which again, Biden is asking for another $1 billion for Ukraine right now. This is to cover up their crimes from 2014. But also when they went in there in 2014, they basically took over all of their natural resources. They put in, they also started a straight up like Stasi type Antifa group that goes around and terrorizes the Russian. Remember, Russia was part of it. There's a lot of Russian citizens in Ukraine. So they started terrorizing the Russian speaking community in Ukraine. And then now they've also shut off all media that connects to Russia. They really, the whole point about Russia is not going along with the Great Reset. They're not going along with the
Putin's
one world order.
100%.
And this is what it's about.
I saw Chuck Costello, Callisto or Costello.
Yeah, I know.
He tweeted, the United States offered Ukraine a $1 billion loan guarantee and Russia begins to have a troop withdrawal. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. That's what I'm talking about. And it's Jake Sullivan, who is knee deep in the Hillary Clinton spying scandal beyond comprehension. So again, where we are now, and what I believe, honestly, is that, again, you know, I've always believed that this is an international alliance and it wasn't. Right. People are saying, well, why isn't anything happening? I've seen it all happening, but it's so multi-layered and so deep in, but it's a small group of people. So all you really have to do is follow their money and all of that. But what we do see happening, in my opinion, is the fraudulent regime, because, you know, the guy Zelensky who's running Ukraine right now is a stand-up comedian. Right. You know, that's his background.
I didn't know that. I didn't know. Oh, obviously, I didn't watch his comedy. So fucking.
Yeah, I mean, neither. But apparently that's his background.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And crazy as that.
I swear I had zero idea about that. Wow.
Yeah. And I firmly believe, remember the perfect phone call when they tried to impeach Trump for his perfect phone call with Zelensky?
Right.
I fully believe that these guys, including him, that this all is an orchestrated situation, because I'll tell you, there was some really shady stuff going on at that Ukrainian embassy. And what Trump was getting impeached over was he was saying at the time, why are we sending $400 million of weapons to Ukraine? What is this about? Why do we care? What is going on there? And it was all created by the same group that somehow got themselves placed into the top ranks of our government. Again, also, everyone should know NATO should no longer exist, like Trump was saying, because it was supposed to hold back the USSR. The USSR fell in the 90s. Now they've become a bully situation. They really are the one world government military. I always
it's the new world. NATO, I always tell people, is the new world order. That's it. That's what they are.
Right. So everyone that
the new world order.
Right. So everyone that they harass, be it Russia or anyone else on the planet, it's because they're rejecting Great Reset, one world government plans. These plans are made as far as Klaus Schwab and his overlords in Davos and in Bilderberg and Bank of International Settlements think. This is a done deal. They feel like they have already, that the Great Reset is a done deal, whether we like it or not. I've seen all the quotes of them talking in private where they're like, you know, the elite, we've got this, we're creating it. And don't forget what happened in Glasgow. All the same people are agreeing to take over the natural resources of planet Earth. I mean, water, air, sea, space, land, food, and then rent it out to the 7 billion of us under the unelected pseudo-elite frauds, a bunch of dried up monarchies and billionaires.
That's why what's happening in Canada right now is so important.
Yeah.
These truckers are making well, really, I would say the first and final stand. We're watching, the whole world is watching them